Well, welcome back to talkSPORT Driving, the home of all things motorsport on talkSPORT. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, where you'll get all of the notifications for when all of our latest or newest videos drop on the channel. And today I am joined by Red Bull athlete and former rally raid biker Sam Sunderland, who is a two-time winner of the Dakar Rally. Sam, thanks for joining us. You're gearing up for the 2025 Dakar Rally in Saudi Arabia, but this time it's going to be a little bit of a different experience for you, isn't it? So can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you're doing this time around?
Pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, definitely. This year's a little bit different than the last 10 or so that I've done on the bike. I'm actually switching to four wheels, and yeah, they always say with age comes a cage, and I'll definitely be happy to have a seatbelt on and a little bit more security if things go wrong. So yeah, that's yeah, a new challenge and a lot of things to learn in a short space of time.
You retired from certainly racing on motorbikes early this year. So was it always going to take something special like this to tempt you back out of retirement and back into competing again?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, I love racing. I still do love racing. I love racing bikes. Even after I retired, I signed straight up for a motocross race in there in the UK and did that. And it's definitely one of the things was the safety issue. So that side hopefully is going to be way better on the car, and that's one of the reasons that sort of made me excited to go back and attempt it in a car and alongside an ex teammate. I think it's quite a cool story to get me excited for it, and yeah, try and do our best, let's say.
You mentioned doing it alongside your teammate. You're going to be doing it alongside your good friend Toby Price. He'll be driving. You'll be in the co-driver's seat. That must be a pretty surreal feeling doing it with someone like him. Like, how would you describe your relationship with Toby?
Yeah, I mean, we've been good friends for a long time. Like, we always shared the campers back along in Dakar when we were both bike riders, and I've got a really good relationship with him. I trust in his ability to steer the thing, and hopefully I can tell him the right way, and we're still friends at the end of it. I kind of picture that like husband and wife on the way to a new place, and her saying it's left and the other saying it's right, and that kind of vibe going. But hopefully we can agree on that and have a smooth run.
Is it your job then partly to keep spirits high and morale high throughout the competition as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen myself on the bike side. It's a huge part of it. And, bringing creature comforts from home to sort of keep the spirits up. And, yeah, I'll be doing that for sure. Anything I can.
And how are preparations going so far then? Because I'm presuming you guys are training and getting a little bit of experience in the car ahead of next month.
Yeah, so really well actually. Obviously, the first thing I did when I realised that I was going was phone up, the other Red Bull co-drivers and ask them tips and bits and bobs on how they manage navigation, the stress, what things I need to control, what I don't need to control. Speaking with the APC in Austria about neck strengthening because it's actually much more violent than I was thinking in the car. Like, obviously the bike's quite physical, but yeah, in the car, you've got these wings to protect your head and your neck during a crash, but in the bumps, you kind of like slap around in between them. So yeah, just looking for some advice there from the guys at APC for neck strengthening, and I look like Hulk next when we're lining up on the start. Hopefully, I'll be ready for it.
Have you always fancied yourself as a turn in your hand to navigating then?
Without choice, really. Like, on the bike side, it was something that we had to ride and navigate, and if you want to win, you need to know where you're going. So it's part of the sport, and yeah, now in the car, it's a different side because I'll solely be focused on that, and it definitely comes with its own like restrictions. It isn't like, oh, because you could do it on the bike, whilst you were riding, it'll be easy in the car. Like, for one, your vision's pretty restricted in the car, in the cockpit. Like, you can't, you lose a lot of peripheral. In the dunes, you either see the sky or the sand. Like, you never sort of see really where you're going to follow compass heading, so it's definitely got its own challenges, but that's kind of what's exciting about it. It's kind of give me a little refresh and a booster to get fired up for it.
And there's been a few people who have done this before, transition from riding motorbikes to going into competing in cars in a Dakar rally. But I think there's only just three people who have managed to actually win in both categories. So if you and Toby were able to maybe add your names to that little secluded club right there, would that would be pretty special, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's the dream for sure. I mean, it would be a little bit arrogant to think we could do it in our first year, you know. But on the flip side, I don't think it's been done before. Two-time winners in the same car, so hopefully, you know, a mixture of his ability to read the terrain and push lines and tracks that are in front from the other cars, and you know my navigation. I hope we're a good combination and something that can spice up the rankings a little bit, you know.
And on terms of the Dakar Rally itself, it's such a grueling event. What is it about it that makes it so unique every year?
I think it's still like those same things always that attract me is like the adventure. Like, okay, I'm super competitive. I race for a factory team all these years. You know, I need to win and X, Y, and Z, and I want to win. But you know, beneath all that, there's still like that sense of throwing yourself into the unknown. You know, you're going to have super long days. Wake up 2 a.m. Like you've never been there. Like 100% of the time, it's new. It's like it would be like going to a circuit day, but the track is never ending. Like you never do the same lap twice, you know. So you're going as fast as you can, and you don't know where the apex is, how sharp the corner is, what's over the blind rise. So it's constantly that like feeling of judging and sort of, you know, managing the risk, let's say.
What is it? You look back at it, and it's such a fine line between winning and crashing out because it's so difficult there. In your view, is it the toughest form of motorsport in the world because you've got that such a fine line between success and failure, but you've also got the conditions, you've got the endurance aspect of it as well. The fact you're in the complete remote environment as well, without little to no help surrounding you too.
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone wants that title of saying, "Oh, our race is the toughest," but I mean, every discipline has got its own difficulties. You know, like if you're doing Formula One, you're pushing really such fine margins, and you know, although we feel like we're pushing, you know, our maximum, it's still with a lot of tolerance because we've never been there before, and you need to manage the fact that it's a 12-day race, and you know, protect the car or bike for all these years now, the car. You know, also there's a lot of strategy that comes into play. Like if tomorrow's going to be a sandy day, you don't want to start up front because you kind of draw a line for everyone else to follow, and meanwhile you're slow, sort of searching the way. So there's a lot more variables than uncontrollables. I feel like in rally.
Has there been a particular Dakar that you've competed in which has been tougher than potentially any others that you've done before?
Yeah, I mean they're all tough. Like I don't think there is such a thing as an easy one. You can't ride 12 days, 9, 10,000 kilometers without it being tough. You know, race, let's say. But the first 2017, the first time I won on the bike was really extreme for the weather. Like it was a lot of rain, really cold, and you know we traveled from Paraguay through Bolivia and then down into Argentina. And I remember being at like during the same day, we were at like 4,000 odd meters, freezing cold, like cold to your bones. And then in the afternoon, we were in the dunes in 45 degrees. And like just those big contrasts of weather. And like, you know, we don't take big backpacks with us on the bike. Like we just got what we're wearing almost. So you're pretty exposed. And yeah, that Dakar 17 was brutal. I lost 7.5 kilos during the race, and I'm not like a big guy, let's say, to lose that much weight, but it was just savage.
Wow. I mean, for our listeners hearing this, what does it take then to be a rider or a driver then in the Dakar Rally? Because from what you're saying there, you have to put up with some pretty extreme conditions and have to be pretty durable to be able to get through it in over the course of the competition.
Yeah, I think everyone's got their own kind of philosophy or thoughts on what kind of gives you that grit to get through it. And mine's always been like how invested I am into it through training or effort or missing this party or not eating what I want, you know, like all of those things that I do in the build up, or, you know, training when it's snowing, when it's cold, when you don't feel like it, going over an injury, like all of these things kind of fill up your pockets with investment into that race. So it's kind of harder to just be like, I'll just stop, like. Whereas if you just rocked up on the day underprepared, your first sort of hint of a challenge, you'd be like, whatever, I'm going home. Like, so it's more or less like you fill up the bank beforehand so you can use it as reserves during the race. And yeah, definitely caffeine. A little pocket coffee on Red Bull on the way to the start gets me fired up as well, because there's some long days, and you got a lot of time thinking on your own. And like when things start going downhill, you've only got your own thoughts to deal with, and it's kind of hard to pick you up. And yeah, that definitely helps in them moments.
So that was the key to success then when you won it twice. Lots of coffee and lots of Red Bull then.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It does come down to that. A lot of preparation as well. Like I can't, there's a great team behind me. Like it isn't. Once I'm on the bike, I'm solo and on my own. But like when I get back to the camp each night, there's a team of 30 guys there taking care of everything. Fortunately, and yeah, it's a massive team effort. So you're just trying to like tick all the boxes that you can, and when things are thrown at you, you just have to kind of figure it out as quick as you can and get on with it.
Is it still a bit of a pinch me moment when people say to you you're a two-time Dakar winner?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I mean, the last time I won was 22, and it already feels like it's a distant memory. And I got kids and everything else, that just life stuff that comes along with it, and just getting on with it. But it's definitely nice every now and again. So thanks for reminding me.